Hi friends, welcome back to the Infinite Library, and today we're going to be looking at the books that I'm hoping to read in the month of December. How is it December already? This is actually insane. This year went really fast and I still have lots of books I want to get through. So let's have a look at some of them. I am actually kind of behind on my TBR. At the moment, I am like a full month almost behind on my Goodreads challenge that I'm doing, so that may end up filtering through into January. But some of these books are quite short, so I'm hoping I will be able to kind of complete them in the last little bit of November. I still have, at the time of filming, I've still got a week left of November, and in December. So December for me is going to be really trying to finish those Goodreads books. And there's just a couple of other books that I want to try and get to as well before the year is out. I have a buddy read coming up. I just have a couple of books that are seasonal as well that I'd like to get to. I really get into the idea now of reading books seasonally. And I have a couple of Christmas books that I would really like to read this year as well. I don't have them all at the moment, but I will show you them. And I'm behind in my TBR jar. I haven't read the last two books, but this is going to be the last time that I do use this TBR jar, because I'm going to be doing something totally different in January. So I still like to pull from it for the last time. Whether or not I'll get to the book in December or not, we'll see, but I'd like to pull at least and do this one more time to finish the year off. Let's crack on with the books that I absolutely have to read this month. We'll start with my book club, which I don't usually start with, but I am this time. So I did try to do kind of seasonal reads again for this month for book club. So we've got more of a wintry themed book from what I gather, and I gave them a couple of options and they picked Away, which this is the book here. I don't have it yet. It is arriving in the next couple of days, I think, but it is a YA fantasy, more in the magical realism spectrum, I believe, and it is about a Native American girl in this America that's been changed and reshaped because of magic and magical creatures and stuff, and I believe she has spirit animals or something and can communicate with them. And there is a mystery going on because I think her cousin either dies or disappears, and it makes her kind of look into the town and find out that the town is there's darker secrets there. I've heard really good things about this book, so I'm hoping that I'll really like it. I think it'll be a good read. I have not read anything by an Indigenous author in quite some time, so I'm glad to be reading something a little bit different for Christmas. So that is one of the reads that I will be doing. In terms of the Goodreads books I'll be reading, as always, I'm not showing you all the books because some I'm keeping them a mystery for the video project, but at current, I am still kind of working through what should have been my October books, which was Horror versus Debut. I read all the horror. I have two of the debut books still left to read, but I think I'll get those finished for November. But I haven't even started. Well, I have started my November books, actually, which is Humor versus, what was it again? Historical. So I'm about midway through the Humor and Historical, but I still have some more I need to read for that I haven't actually read yet. What was the winner of the Historical category and the debut category, actually, which is Wayward by Amelia Hart. This is is in different time periods, all about witches. I'm really excited to read this, actually, so I'm going to be getting to this soon. It's just taking me a while to get through the other historical novel that I'm currently reading because it's really long. But yeah, I will be getting to this and to the rest of the historical books. And then for the month of December, I have actually got 3 genres that I'm going to be reading for that. So I'm going to be reading fantasy, which means I will finally be reading Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo, as well as 2 other books. I read Ninth House earlier in the year, actually quite liked it, so I'm excited to see where this is going to be going. Leigh Bardugo I found is a very hit or miss kind of author for me. I didn't really like the Shadow and Bone series. I loved Six of Crows. I didn't really like The Familiar, but I did like Ninth House, albeit finding it kind of problematic at times. So I am excited to carry this on though and see where it's going. And then the final 2 genres I'm going on is sci-fi. So I'm going to be reading John Scalzi finally. I don't think I've heard amazing things about this book. This is Starter Villain. This was the 3rd place in the Goodreads sci-fi, I believe. I've actually already read the winner of the sci-fi category because that was In the Lies of Puppets. I think the 2nd place was the latest Red Rising book, and I've not started that series yet, so I automatically had to go for 3rd place and 2 other books that I've also picked. This is not too long though, and it's more of a humorous book from what I remember, so I think it will be a good time. It is about this guy called Charlie, and he ends up inheriting his uncle's like super villain business and has to work out how to run it, and like there's cats also running it and people are out to get him basically. It sounds like it could be a good time, but I haven't heard amazing things to be honest, but this is only about 250 pages, so I will give it a try and hopefully I will enjoy it. And the final genre I'll be reading, I have none of the books for it yet at the moment. I think most are still waiting for me to pick them up from the library, but I will be reading romance. So that does mean I will be reading Emily Henry for the first time ever because she won the romance category of Happy Place. So I'll be reading that and 2 other romance books. I'm hoping I'll enjoy them, but we'll see, because as you all know, general contemporary romance is not really my kind of thing, but these are books that have really good reviews, so hopefully I will like some of them. That is my hope. So those are the Goodreads ones. Then there are 2 books that I want to try and read this month anyway. I should be, because one's a buddy read. So I am going to be buddy reading what I presume is the final book in the Atlas series by Olivia Blake. This is the Atlas Complex. I have like the Waterstones edition. I think I'm going to be doing this by audiobook though, because I've not heard good things about this, unfortunately. This has a really, really bad rating. This is what it currently looks like in Goodreads. And I buddy read the first 2 books with Jules Demhart. We really enjoyed the first book. The second book wasn't amazing, but I still quite liked enough of it to want to carry on. And I've heard nothing but bad things about this book. So we're going to try and read it anyway because we just want to kind of complete it together because we started it together, but I am not expecting this to be good. So I am audiobooking it just because it means I can hopefully get through it a bit faster if it's kind of a trial to read. But yeah, if this isn't good, I just want to read it and get it out of the way and then get it off my shelves, to be honest, because it is taking valuable space because it's quite big. So I'm hoping I will find some things I like about it, but I'm not optimistic, given the really shockingly bad reviews this has at the moment. Actually, let me know in the comments if you did like this book. I've heard no one talking about it, so I guess I'll find out. Also going to be reading Blood of Hercules by Jasmine Mass. I had not even heard of this book really before the Goodreads Awards. I wasn't super interested even when I saw it, and then I've just been kind of seeing a lot about it, and I saw this character art. And there's this one guy in the character artwork who has a freaking raccoon, and I'm kind of sold just based off that. I want to know who this guy is who has a raccoon. So this is like an ancient Greek kind of trials games kind of thing. It actually does sound really interesting now I've looked into it. This is the Waterstones special edition, which I think is really pretty. It's a romantasy. It was in the romantasy category for Goodreads this year. It also has like... So yeah, pretty nice. And I think the final nail in the coffin for me was that I got accepted for the audiobook at NetGalley for this, which is a multicast audio, and I'm really intrigued about this. So even though I do have this physically, I'll probably read some of it by audio because I think it might be quite good. So this is about a girl called Alexis, who I believe is actually Hercules for the purpose of this story. It's set in a Spartan war academy where monsters are made, immortality is won, and even a god can die. She isn't a hero, and she certainly isn't a god. All she's ever been is a survivor, but the fates disagree. When a blood test leads to her admittance at the Spartan War Academy, she'll have to do more than merely survive. Alexis will have to claim her birthright, immortality. Immortality is a privilege, one earned in the crucible of the academy where the heroes are villains and classrooms battlegrounds. While unyielding gladiators Achilles and Patro hone her into a warrior, her professors, the 2 brooding heirs to the underworld, haunt her steps and her thoughts. Because where there are gods, there are bound to be monsters, and there is more than one haunting Alexis. And this has been described as being like quite sassy and sarcastic, and I just think it's gonna be a really fun read, honestly. So yeah, I want to get to this in December. Probably will audiobook it, and it sounds fun. So I'm down for a silly little Greek romantasy, basically, is what this is. So those are the books I have to get to. I then just have a couple of other books that I want to try and get to, whether it's because they're seasonal or they're books I just want to try and finish before the year is out. So let me grab some of those. In terms of seasonal books, I have one that I was going to read last year and didn't get around to it because I ended up reading stuff in my Airbnb, which I did make a video of, about me reading books in this Airbnb, and then I never uploaded it, I never edited it. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in seeing at some point. Like, it's a year out of date at this point, but I had a good fun time making it. But I have The Kingdom of Sweets by Erica Johansson. I believe this is a Nutcracker retelling. Again, it's not one I think I've heard great things about, but I am intrigued by it. Yeah, a tale of two sisters who are forever changed, Clara and Natasha. Their godfather is the sorcerer Drosselmeyer. Oh, okay, so they are rival sisters from the looks of it. Clara is the favourite, while Natasha is relegated to her sister's shadow. Then one fateful Christmas Eve, Natasha is offered her chance for revenge. Drosselmeyer arrives with a Nutcracker, which offers entry to an alternate and deceptively beautiful world, the Kingdom of Sweets. So Clara goes into that, and Natasha discovers a source of power far greater than Drosselmeyer, the sugar plum fairy, who offers her gifts and bargains. This sounds really interesting though. Like, even though I've not heard great things, I'm just kind of excited to give it a go. It feels like it's going to be like a fantasy, Christmassy kind of book. So yeah, we'll give this one a try. This one I think is just going to be a silly good time, and I'm fully here for it. This is The Nightmare Before Christmas by Sarah Rash. This is literally the Prince of Christmas and the Prince of Halloween fall in love, I think. There's going to be hijinks. It's going to be very silly and very seasonal, and I think I'm going to have a good time with it. So yeah, definitely going to be reading this. I'm weirdly really excited to read this, even though this is not my normal type of book, but I think I'm going to have a good time. And I have one other book that I'd like to try and read if I can get a hold of it, and that's Christmas and Other Horrors, which is like an anthology collection of short stories all by different horror authors. I've not heard amazing things about it either, but I do love an anthology, and I like the idea of reading some Christmas horror, because I've got a fantasy with Kingdom of Sweets. I've got like a rom-com basically with Night Before Christmas, and I'd like a horror. I just want to read some fun Christmas stuff. So those are my Christmas books. I then just have a couple of other books that I might try and get to. If I don't get to them, it's really not a big deal, but they're just stuff I want to get off my list basically. So I do have, that I took out from the library, The Dead Take the A Train, which is Cassandra Core and Richard Cagery. I really liked the last book I read by Cassandra Core, so I'm just intrigued by this because of that. And this is about a 30-something woman called Julie who has a lot of magic, and she's trying to establish herself in the New York City magic scene. Desperate for a career boost, she draws the attention of an eldritch god, which then sets off a chain of events that puts her closest friends and the entire world directly into the path of annihilation. So it's a cosmic horror. And yeah, I'm really interested in this, so I might try and get to this as well. I have another library book here that I just want to read it so I can get it off my shelves, to be honest, is The Memory of Animals by Claire Fuller. This apparently won the Costa Novel Award in 2021. I am not gonna lie, this was purely that I saw the book in Waterstones and I'm obsessed with the cover. So and then I think I did read about it and it sounded interesting, so I'm just reading it purely for that reason. It is about a young woman called Neffy who was a runaway. She becomes a volunteer for a controlled vaccine trial, and then things go weird, I believe. Like, everything falls silent outside the window of London, external communications cease, only Neffy and 4 other volunteers remain in the unit. Food was running out, a growing sense that the stranger she with may be holding back secrets. And then she is introduced to a pioneering and controversial technology which allows her to revisit memories from her life before. So it sounds like it's going to be really weird, and I'm just kind of intrigued by it, so I might try and get to this one as well. I have 2 proofs that I would maybe like to try and get to that I got from Yalk, but again, we'll just see how it goes. This is the one I'm most excited for, which is I Am Not Jessica Chen. This is a mystery thriller kind of thing about this girl called Jenna who ends up in the body basically of her very beautiful, successful cousin, and finding out that things are not as perfect in her cousin's life as she may have thought. This is an established author that I've heard really good things about. And I have this one, which is another proof. This is Needless Little Things by Chanel Desamores. This comes out in February, so I just would like to try and read it before the release date, basically. And this is a YA thriller mystery kind of thing again, I believe, about a bunch of missing black women. Oh, hang on, it's got a premise here for it. It's about a girl called Saria who apparently has a talent to know what other people need. On her 18th birthday, she senses her friend needs pepper spray. She gives it to her, but then Deja, her friend, disappears, and Saria begins to wonder, could her strange ability be more of a curse than a gift? Okay, so there's a supernatural bent to it then, which I didn't think it was going to be. I really thought this was just going to be fully like mystery thriller. But I'm even more intrigued now. So yeah, I'm going to try and get to that. As I said, I'm behind on my TBR jar. I have not got to Piranesi yet, so I'm going to try and get to this. I also need to get hold of the Circus Infinite to try and get to, and I need to draw one. So let us finish off the vlog here with me drawing what is my last one for the year. I hope I get something good. Okay, I have one. Let's find out what it is. It's The Way of Shadows, which, is that the Brent Weeks book? It might be. Let me go look. Okay, yeah, it is. I'm not gonna go and get it because it is in a pile somewhere over there and it's hard to get to, but this is the first in the Night Angel series by Brent Weeks, The Way of Shadows. I had the first and the second book of this series, and this is me really just giving this series another chance. And if it doesn't click with me, then I'm probably going to unhaul both books. I have actually read this book a long time ago before. I gave it 3 stars, so I haven't got a date for it, but I did read it. It's got to be probably 10 years ago or so that I last read it, and I just remember not really being that into it. So, but I've heard really good things about this series, so I just want to give it another chance, basically. So that is what I'll do with this. It is kind of a chunker. It's about 600 pages or so, but it is about a assassin called Durzo Plint, and I believe they take on like an apprentice called Azoth, who is like a guild rat living in the slums. So it's a kind of like learning about assassinations, that kind of thing. And they have to like make this new identity and learn to be an assassin, giving me honestly kind of like Assassin's Apprentice, Royal Robin Hood vibes. But if he was not a prince. This is what I'm hesitant about, because I do want to read this because I want to know if I want to keep going with this series or not. So this might be a DNF for me, quite honestly. If I'm reading it and I'm just really not vibing, then I think it's going to be one that I pass on. So honestly, not the worst thing to get at the end of the year. But that is it. That is all the books I'm hoping to read in December. I've lost count of how many I've put. It's this number, I guess. But yeah, I'm excited for a lot of them. December is usually a fairly quiet month for me in terms of like being busy and stuff. Things usually slow down. It's cold nights, you just want to hibernate in a little blanket of a book, so I am anticipating being able to read a lot of these. That's it. Let me know down below if you've got any like seasonal reads that you're planning to get to this year. I'd love to get recommendations and stuff, because maybe I'll read that next year. And as always, stay safe, stay cozy, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!